The first quarter of 2024 has passed, so today we're going to talk about the best indie games released from January to March this year. In no particular order, let's get into the list. Deep Rock Galactic Survivor is an auto-shooter roguelike with familiar gameplay, where we fight off hordes of enemies and upgrade our arsenals. It surprises me that the original title is a co-op exploration FPS, and now we have a vampire survivor-like genre. It still captures the original feel and atmosphere of the first game. It even has mining mechanics to burrow yourself for cover or positioning. The game is fun and addictive, although it may get quite grindy at times, and the weapon upgrades don't feel interesting enough. Do you like poker? What if we combine poker with roguelites? We get Balatro. It's not your usual poker though, it's a deck building game with over 150 jokers with different unique abilities. The game has mechanics that will keep you addicted throughout your run. It has varied items, decks, bosses, and combinations that you can try. Adding joker combos is so satisfying in this game. If you're not into card games, you can try it out first. But if you already love card and deck building games, you will love this game. Palworld needs no introduction. It is one of the biggest hits this year, and certainly will be one of the best indie games for 2024 in its early access. Basically, Palworld is Pokemon with guns, and this time you abuse and exploit the creatures called pals. Apart from its humor, the other aspects are not to be overlooked. The combat is action-packed and very fluid, with the huge open world yearning to be explored. The building system and automating the pals are also quite solid. Yes, the game sometimes may still have bugs, but it's a solid game overall. Backpack Battles is an auto-battler game where the mechanics is focused on your backpack. How your battle will go depends on your strategy on how you place your items, what you choose, and how you playstyle according to 4 available classes. It might be a PvP game, but no worries, the game is relatively simple and relaxing. All you have to think is your build because it's not a live PvP game. If you love puzzle games and love fiddling with different build, try the game. It's still on early access, so the content may be limited for now. Ender Magnolia is a dark Metroidvania game that feels like the sequel to Ender Lilies, released in 2021. It's not a direct sequel, as the character you play is new and the game is set in the distant future. However, it certainly follows the aspects of Ender Lilies, such as the music, art, atmosphere, and gameplay. The gameplay is still solid, but it feels easier this time. Maybe because there's no contact damage. If you've played Ender Lilies, this game is an obvious follow-up. If you love Metroidvania and haven't played the original, you can try this one, or even better, both. Secrets of Grindea is a pixel art action JRPG game that uses retro-style graphics and art while modernizing many other aspects. The combat is fast-paced, with various builds you can try, albeit it can get repetitive at times. There are 2 modes, Story Mode and Arcade Mode, where you can experience more straightforward and roguelite gameplay. Additionally, there is co-op with up to 4 players, which is very nice. It may feel slow at the beginning, but if you can get through it, the rest of the game is well worth your time. Anomaly Agent is a cyberpunk action-adventure featuring side-scrolling combat, a time-bending story, and smooth gameplay mechanics. You play as Agent 70, with the mission to stop the anomaly before it destroys the balance of the world. If you're familiar with Katana Zero, you might see the game as a copy of it. But make no mistake, Anomaly Agent has its own flavor, such as the intense and challenging combat mechanics. Due to the enjoyable combat alone, replayability is enhanced on higher difficulty levels. Here we have a free 2D platformer game on the list. The playthrough is rather short, with only around 1 hour of gameplay, but still it shouldn't be free as it is a very nice game. So what makes this game very good? The art style itself is well designed as well as the level design. It's obvious that the level design is well crafted and made with love because of how smoothly each part transitions. It also has nice music to accompany your playthrough. It's short, free, and enjoyable, so give the game a try. We just talked about a free game, and now we also have an amazing free game that should grab our attention even more. Paper Lily is a story-focused game with a psychological horror theme. It balances perfectly between the cute-looking aspects and the horrific elements. The puzzle design in this game is stellar as there's not only a single solution, so the game rewards creativity and exploration. Every choice you make will shape the narrative, and because of this, there are multiple endings. It's still part 1, but it's already good as a standalone. Oblivion Override is a 2D action roguelike that is reminiscent of Dead Cells in a very good way. It's often compared to Dead Cells, but I think it stands on its own 2 feet with several gameplay mechanic differences. For example, the abilities are tied to weapons and robots. The gameplay is solid with fast-paced action. You can mash buttons or carefully execute moves according to your playstyle. The weapons also feel unique and varied. If you love roguelikes and even Dead Cells, I guarantee you'll love this game. Sons of the Forest is a sequel to the original game, The Forest. But this time, the premise is different. You're sent to find a missing billionaire on a remote, cannibal-infested island. However, despite the premise, there are no missions or NPCs telling you where to go. The game offers solid open-world survival gameplay, with a balance between base management, survival aspects, and combat. Not to mention, the graphics are stellar and add to the immersiveness. Definitely one of the most solid open-world survival games. BlazBlue Entropy Effect is a roguelike game with a heavy emphasis on combat gameplay. I'll say it again, the combat is the main focus of the game, and it's arguably one of the best. There is a vast amount of combos you can attempt with fluid animations. The flashy visuals might be a strong point, or you may not like them as they can sometimes feel like too much. The story is rather basic, but that's not why we're here, right? If you're looking for combat-focused gameplay with various moves, then get this game.
And subsequent seizure of the peninsula. The evacuation.
Pacific Drive is a unique game with its main focus on survival and exploration, utilizing your cars against a myriad of anomalies. It reminds us of the legendary Stalker games with its immersive atmosphere and the strange occurrences in the game world. Venturing into the anomaly zones to search for resources in this game feels amazing, despite the dangers. The zones are handcrafted, but the hazards and resources are randomly generated. The game also has a quite solid but thin plot as a complement. Enshrouded is an open-world game with solid elements of base building, combat, storytelling, and overall world design. Even better, you can play with up to 16 players. It's often compared to Valheim, and in my humble opinion, the game nails a lot of aspects better. The world is gorgeous and filled with quests, crafted locations, puzzles, and more. The building system is amazing, with no cost to rebuilding or destroying, encouraging creativity. The combat is way better than Valheim. There's a lot to cover, but for now, I'm sure this is definitely one of the best open-world games this year.
So you're teaming up. I see.
Momodora Moonlit Farewell is the latest installment in the Momodora series. While there are 3 games before this one, everyone can play the game just fine. The game has a solid pixel art style and relatively simple combat and builds, making it easier for beginners or casual players to get into. Although it's tagged as a Metroidvania, The exploration feels quite linear as there are also no side quests, hidden areas, or optional bosses. But overall, if you've played the series or wanted to get into Metroidvania, the game serves as a great option to consider.